The Tigers play a role in what is a rough sports weekend for the city of Detroit. We'll talk about that and more all today on Locked On Tigers.
You are Locked On Tigers, your daily Detroit Tigers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Tigers. I'm, of course, your host, Scott Bentley. Today is Monday, September 8th, 2025. Thank you so much for making Locked On Tigers your first listen. Every single day, we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB for 50% off of your first year at monarchmoney.com. The Detroit Tigers drop a weekend series to the Chicago White Sox at home. A very frustrating series. It was Friday 7-5, win Saturday 6-0 on a Skubal start, and then lose Sunday by a score of 6-4. As I said in the cold open, frustrating weekend kind of all around for Detroit sports fans. I guess the exception would be is if you are a Sparty. Heck of a ball game for Aiden Childs and co. there against Boston College. But pretty much any other Detroit team you could root for, not a great weekend. Lions and Tigers, Michigan, etc. So we are going to talk about the Tigers dropping 2 of 3. Obviously frustrating. The White Sox are in last place. And this is the easiest opponent you play the rest of the season. And it was at home. And I think that is kind of where, for me, the frustration starts and finishes, right? I want to start it with that. Then we'll spend the next half an hour talking about a lot more. And then ultimately we'll come right back to, you know what? This was a missed opportunity to gain standing in the American League in a very important time of year to win ball games. And you won't face a worse opponent than what you just did the rest of the entire season. And again, at Comerica Park. He dropped every non-Skubal game, which is just a reoccurring theme throughout most of the second half. And I think that's, again, an underlying problem that we've kind of highlighted a lot on this show. The pitching staff, sans Tarik Skubal, obviously, has been brutal. And that was very apparent this weekend against a not very good baseball team. We see the ceiling of this team, and I try really hard to still point that out when it happens. And we will talk honestly about Saturday. Saturday was a wonderful win, right? At this team's best, they are a deep lineup that's very tough to navigate if you're an opposing pitcher because it's a lot of really solid league average to slightly above league average hitters. Obviously, AJ's always and also going to play the matchups as well. You're not going to have an advantage too terribly often top to bottom. You also can throw out the best pitcher in the entire sport once every 5 days. And you have a great two-headed monster in your bullpen of Vest and Finnegan if Skubal can go 7 innings. Finnegan is now on the injured list. And every starter except Tarik Skubal has an ERA over 5 since the All-Star break. Your floor, we also saw this weekend, and that's dropping 2 of 3 at home to a team with like the second or third worst record in all of baseball. You need somebody on this pitching staff to step up, or the wheels are going to come off really quickly here in this last month of the season and heading into October. So what went wrong? If you haven't been listening, we're going to start with the pitching. Obviously, sans Skubal. Jack Flaherty, 4 1/3, 6 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, a 4.85 ERA on the season. Maybe I am an idiot. Okay, maybe I'm dumb. But I watched this outing, and while I was watching it, I just couldn't stop thinking about the Jeff Passan article we talked about on Friday's show, where Passan said that he thinks Jack Flaherty is going to opt out of his deal this winter. And I just think that is absurd. Maybe I'm, maybe I'm an idiot. Maybe I just don't see it. His ERA is pushing 5, and it's been there all year. It's been consistently just under 5 the entire season. The command in this outing was putrid. Like some of the worst we have seen from him, I guess, all season. It felt like every pitch was either a hanger over the middle or was a mile outside. And mostly I want to focus on the former there. There were so many meatballs in this game. So many sliders over the heart of the plate. It was astounding. It was staggering. And that's why he got yanked after 4 1/3, man. Just really not great. Then you have Skubal on Saturday. Then you have Charlie Morton on Sunday, who goes 3 innings, 4 hits, 3 earned runs, 3 walks, just 2 strikeouts, and the home run against. His ERA is now 5.59 on the season. Again, brutal command, brutal location of his breaking stuff, specifically the curveball. Man. Yeah. The curveball was not great for Uncle Charlie in this one. You know, it was interesting in this outing. I saw some people complaining about AJ leaving relievers in too long, right? Like Canely on Sunday kind of gets hung out to dry a little bit. Cater Montero pitches over 3 innings this weekend in one outing. There's also people that like, get these people out of here. Dude, Morton and Flaherty might be your second and third best pitchers right now. They combined for 7 1/3 across 2 games. Somebody has to eat innings, dude. You can't just pull everybody at the first sign of I don't know, like cracks in the armor, or else everybody in this pen is going to be completely tank empty, gassed. All the arms are going to be dead by the time you reach October. You are really stuck between a rock and a hard place. You can't use 7 pitchers a game the last 3 weeks of the season here in every game. You need innings from somebody. So that's it for the starters outside of Skubal. Let's talk about the bullpen. It's not too sharp either. We'll talk about that right after this. First, though, got to talk to y'all about our friends over at Monarch Money. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, well, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there is Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization, spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. It's the best. Really plain and simple. So don't let this financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off of your first year. That's 50% off of your first year at monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONMLB. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Segment 2, Locked On Tigers. Appreciate you all for tuning in. As always, making us your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day. And we will, of course, will be back tomorrow, even with an off day for the Tigers on Monday, as we discuss more in depth of this pitching situation, what the roster could look like the rest of the season, and of course, any other big stories surrounding the team. There's a couple that we haven't talked about yet that I want to get to. But today we talk about this series loss to the White Sox. Talked about the starters. The bullpen was not great either. Melton, 2 innings pitched, 4 walks. Not great. Not great. And he's been fantastic so far in his major league career. Outside of his very first outing of his career, he's been stellar. The stuff is clearly great. He'll be fine. I don't worry about him long term. He'll figure it out, make adjustments, and be good. But this outing, again, like it's not fair to anybody, certainly not a rookie, but they just can't afford stuff like this to happen. The bullpen is paper thin. The rotation is what's thinner than paper. It is non-existent. Like the depth in the rotation doesn't exist. It's not even thin. It literally just does. It's two-dimensional. It doesn't have depth. Okay. The bullpen is hanging on by a thread. And so, again, not fair to put a rookie in this situation, a guy that got called up like 2 months ago in this situation, but they just can't afford any of the guys that are usually reliable to have outings like this. Will Vest, same conversation, had a rough outing on Sunday, gave up a couple of hits. Tommy Kahnle is kind of the poster child for that, right? Was one of the most trustworthy relievers on the team the entire first half. July happened, completely imploded, was a little bit better in August, but it's hard to be worse. And then in this weekend, had one solid outing and then one not solid outing where he was back to hanging changeups all inning on Sunday. And then that's only the bigger names. Then you have Bailey Horn gives up a home run this weekend. One of your only 2 left-handed pitchers in the bullpen. Cater Montero, 3 1/3, 2 earned runs, a home run against. His ERA is now 4.7 on the season. So yeah, man. I don't know what else to say. I don't know how else to articulate my concerns with the pitching staff. I think I've pretty much gotten, everything every angle I can attack it until I'm blue in the face. I think I pretty much have. And, is there a fix, whatever? Well, the trade deadline's passed and you did nothing. Okay. You added Kyle Finnegan. You did nothing else besides that of note to help the lack of pitching depth in your bullpen or your rotation. So you can't make a trade. You're not going to find anyone in like free agency or the waiver wire in September that's going to be a legitimate piece that can help you, down the stretch in high leverage. You literally are just hoping and praying that someone internally takes a step forward and figures it out. Legitimately, that's all you can do. That's where we are. And I'm frustrated because they had an opportunity to add more talent and improve this thin situation and didn't on the last day of July. Offense, I didn't really have too much of a problem with the offense this weekend, to be real with you. If there is anything to nitpick, Torkelson, I guess, had a pretty quiet weekend, like relatively speaking. But he had a home run robbed on Sunday. Fantastic play, by the way. And still had an RBI on Friday. But that OPS is now down to 786 as he continues to slide here in the second half. As a team, still like clutch hitting. It's been a big problem for them over the last, I think, probably 3 or 4 weeks now is fair to say. But they went 3 for 17 with runners in scoring position on the weekend, including going 0 for 7, I believe it was, on Sunday alone. So, yeah, I mean, 1 for 5 on Friday, 2 for 5 on Saturday. Those aren't terrible performances. I think most of that is just kind of carried by the rough showing on Sunday. So, I don't know. Like I said, I don't have too much of a problem with the offense. We'll keep talking about the offense, I guess, a little bit more in depth here in what went right. We're going to start with Tarik Skubal, actually, just so we can get, one of the 2 good pitchers this weekend out of the way here. Skubal gets the start on Saturday when the Tigers win 6-0. His final line, 7 innings, 2 hits, no earned runs, 1 walk, and 6 strikeouts. His ERA in the season is now 2.10. The most amazing part about Tarik Skubal over the last month to me is that you see it, littered with performances like this. And I guess littered probably has a negative connotation. Filled with performances like this that are really good. The weird thing is, I think he's letting up, and not in a way of oh, I'm not trying. I think he realizes that he has good enough stuff where he doesn't have to completely empty the tank every inning, and he can still go 7 innings of shutout ball with 6 strikeouts. And so I think that we've been seeing that a little bit over the, since, I don't know, the start of August, maybe ish. And this is totally a theory. Maybe I'm wrong, and it looks a little bit different for some reason or another. But I'm interested to see if when we get to late September, if we need him to empty the tank in late September or October, if we kind of see the stuff get a little bit more of a zip to it than we have over the last couple of weeks, because it just doesn't look the same as it did in the first half, and yet he's still the best pitcher on the planet. He's unbelievable. He truly is unbelievable. The changeup was fantastic in this one. The fact that he can do this so consistently against major league lineups with really 2 primary pitches, obviously been mixing in the slider a little bit more lately, is nothing short of incredible to me. So he's the best pitcher in the world. I love him to death. And yeah, I mean, really the outlook of the team since the trade deadline has kind of just been, you win when Skubal's on the mound and you pray the other 4 games. Tyler Holton, solid weekend, had a couple of outings in this series and looked pretty sharp in both of them, I thought. But yeah, that's pretty much it for what went right on the pitching side. We already talked about the offense a little bit there before the break. I'll kind of regurgitate that sentiment. 15 runs in 3 games and at least 4 runs scored in every game. That's really a fine weekend offensively. I in a perfect world, you come through a couple of times with runners in scoring position on Sunday, right? And you come back and you're able to win that game. But the pitching staff gave up 6 runs to the Chicago White Sox, and it is what it is. They like every other team in baseball besides you, for some reason, still have a guy in the back end of their pen that can throw 100, and it is what it is. I think that ultimately the player on offense that I was the most, pleased with, happiest with, had the most fun watching this weekend was Winfield Perez. He was on base in every game, but not only that, he was on base 7 times this weekend. A 3-game series, he was on base 7 times. I retweeted it. Just Baseball posted something this weekend kind of highlighting that he has legitimately been one of the best switch hitters in baseball over the last 2 months. Since he, came back from the injury, got called up and had legitimate playing time. I guess that's more like 3 months, but you get the point. Been incredibly valuable. Incredibly valuable. I think Jake Rogers continues to look really solid at the plate. Offensively, I should say, at the plate. He's at the plate all the time. Had another knock this weekend. his OPS is like quietly up to, 655. His average is back over 200. Like, I'll take that from a backup catcher that's going to play once or twice a week, man. Assuming the defense is good, which it's good enough. Got a couple more players I want to talk about offensively, then we'll get to stuff. Okay, we'll do that right after this. First, though, going to talk to you all about our friends over at Zippix. This episode is brought to you by Zippix Toothpicks. Whether you're looking for a nicotine satisfaction or an energy boost, Zippix has you covered with their nicotine and caffeine infused toothpicks. For nicotine users, Zippix provides a discreet way to satisfy cravings and the hand-to-mouth habit without vaping or smoking. Zippix can be helpful to reduce your dependence on vaping or nicotine. Available in 6 great flavors with 2 milligram and 3 milligram nicotine options. If you need energy without the crash, their caffeine toothpicks are a game changer as well. I've used the caffeine toothpicks a lot. They sent all the hosts just a ton of these caffeine infused toothpicks, and they are the best. My roommate and I go through them every day. We both use them every day. Just put a toothpick in your mouth and drive to work. And they taste amazing. They're literally flavor infused. One of them cinnamon. That's like my favorite, but there's a mint one. It is truly remarkable where we're at in like society where that's, an option available to you. So go to zippixtoothpicks.com and use code LOCKEDON for 10% off of your first order. Must be 21 or older to order. Warning, nicotine is an addictive chemical. That's zippixtoothpicks.com. Promo code LOCKEDON. Zip more, smoke less with Zippix Toothpicks. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Third and final segment of Locked On Tigers. Appreciate you all for tuning in. As always, I want to talk about Jahmai Jones again because I don't think there's any limit to how often we should be talking about Jahmai Jones. If there is somebody who is like the exact opposite of what the pitching staff has become here in the second half, it is Jahmai Jones on the offensive side of the ball. A guy that, as I've said multiple times, was, I think it's fair to call him a career minor leaguer, did get some opportunities in the majors prior to this one, but has a 929 OPS now. He just keeps hitting. It's unbelievable to me. They bat him leadoff against lefties, and he just crushes. And he is single-handedly keeping, I don't know, my sanity intact. I'm not really sure. He's doing a lot, though, and I think that it is a valuable, not only has he become just straight up a valuable asset on the offensive side of the ball that they want to play a lot, but he's a guy that now you look toward the end of September and into October and you go, well, yeah, like Jahmai Jones better be, on this roster long-term, at least for the rest of 2025, because he has a 929 OPS. It's amazing. So tip of the cap to Jahmai Jones. I think that's pretty much it for what went right. Stuff. Kyle Finnegan to the injured list was warming up. Literally was warming up in a game last week. Hurt himself in the bullpen. And now, he's pulled a muscle in his groin area. So he's on the injured list. That's super helpful. The bullpen, as I stated, that is hanging on by a thread, gets thinner. Parker Meadows does return. Chris Paddock does return. Justin Henry Malloy back down to Toledo. And Kyle Finnegan, as I stated, to the injured list. So the bullpen, you have a lot of question marks there. What is this going to look like now? Who's going to get high leverage, etc.? Parker Meadows being back, I think, does help your offense and does help your, guess, the position player room, if you want to be like general about it that way. He had a couple of really nice plays in center field this weekend. I think that was the most disheartening part of Parker Meadows before the injury to me this year was that, okay, the offense was a slow start, whatever. He was a slow starter last year too, and then turned it around. But the fact that he was playing poor defense before the injury was very concerning to me. And I think we saw kind of like peak Parker Meadows defense this weekend. Now it's one series at home. We'll see how it lasts. I'm not, anointing him back or anything, but I think that was at least nice to see. Of like, hear the giant motorcycle out my window. It was at least nice to see, like, okay, that's still in there at least. And then he also hits a home run this weekend. I've said it a million times. If you're a longtime listener of the show, you're aware of my appreciation, we'll call it, for Parker Meadows. I think that at his best, he is one of the most valuable players in this lineup. The issue, I guess we'll call it, is he has not hit for anything this entire calendar season when he's been healthy. And so that has to change. It changed down the stretch last year. He was one of the most valuable Tigers on the team in the last 2 months of the season in that crazy, incredible run in 2024 to the playoffs. Hopefully there's something like that in store for us this season. He says, for whatever it's worth to you, that this is the best his body has felt all year. AJ had a quote where he said that he expects some type of pitching chaos-ishness. That's obviously not an exact quote. To return, you're just going to see a lot of pitchers, and they're going to go matchup to matchup, and they're going to call a lot of people up and send people down based on the opponent. And we already know this. I just want to throw it in there because he did mention it, but we've been talking about that for 2 months now. Okay, you have an off day on Monday. Then you have a 6-game road trip against the Yankees and the Marlins. The Marlins have been better after their slow start, and the Yankees are going to be one of the higher seeds and one of the better records in the American League. So you can't afford to just like slide and trip and fall into the postseason. Like you need, I've said this so many times, and I am going to continue. I'm sorry. You desperately need anybody in this rotation to step up. Anyone. I don't care who it is. You need someone in the bullpen now too, to be honest. Vest will be the closer. What about after that? You really desperately need some of these guys to turn it around. And I wish I had better, like, harder hitting analysis than just hope, but that's where we're at. Like, it's September 8th, dude. There's nothing you can do. You literally, as an organization, you are just hoping. So if that's what the front office is doing, and that's what management is doing, then that's what we're going to do too, because that's really our only option. Okay. You know what? Let's say some positive vibes. Let's end with something positive here. I'm also recording this right after the Lions game, so I'm really just frustrated. You still have an 8.5 game lead, and it's September 8th. And the season ends on the 27th? 28th. So, just take care of business. I'm not asking you to win out. Okay? We're not asking for the world here. Just asking this baseball team and for any pitcher to be remotely serious outside of Tarik Skubal. Casey Mize had a good outing last time he pitched. That was his first good outing in over 2 months. Hopefully he can repeat that. We'll preview that series more tomorrow. All right. Appreciate you all greatly. After making us your first listen, make Locked On MLB Game Night your second listen. Every game, every night until a World Series champion is crowned. Get your local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB or YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Peace and love. Going to therapy's dope, and I'll catch you all tomorrow, baby. Go Tigers.